I'm going to talk about something that nobody so far has talked about, and it's the elephant in the room now that needs to be considered in the next 10-year strategy for the National Drug Strategy, and that is illicit tobacco, black market tobacco. Jed Carney didn't mention it. She mentioned everything except that. I thought she was going to go to it when she was talking about vaping rates. We can no longer ignore the fact that the effect of government policy with respect to tobacco excise, combined with the prohibition of one of the main smoking alternatives, has resulted in a thriving black market. The mid-year financial outcome for the budget listed a $5 billion shortfall of a predicted $14 billion in tobacco excise. The budget just announced last week revised that to 6.4. That's nearly $500 million a month being lost to black market tobacco. And I think we can all agree that big tobacco, legal big tobacco, are not lovely people, and that smoking is something we would like to see go the way of the dodo, and we'd like to see reduced smoking rates, ideally eventually to zero. But the pathway there can't be to empower people who are far less lovely than big tobacco, and that is Middle Eastern organised crime gangs and outlawed motorcycle gangs who are making mega profits through illicit tobacco as one of their business units. And that might sound like a strange way to talk about it, but rest assured, as opposed to the federal government and Mark Butler's policy, organised crime is incredibly efficient. And vapes and tobacco, vapes and cigarettes are cheaper, more readily available and more easy to source than at any time in Australia's history. I personally believe that we could slash tobacco excise by 50%, and that would barely put a dent in the black market. The black market in tobacco has become so efficient and so adept at avoiding interdiction. You know, these people are people who look at Mark Butler's pronouncements and law enforcement efforts as profit opportunities, because they are. To point to the amount of black market tobacco and vaping products that are being interdicted at the border, to quote the immortal words of the Princess Bride, I don't think that means what you think it means. If we are seeing ever larger seizures at the border, you can guarantee that that means there are more than ever more and more shipments and more product coming through that's not being found. And if we think that there is not corruption in the AFP, in Border Force, and indeed in a state like Victoria and Victoria Police as a result of these prohibition policies, then we are poor students of history.
Authorised by S. Payton, Libertarian Party, Docklands, Victoria.